Step into the mysterious world of The Twilight Zone, the groundbreaking anthology series that redefined television. Over 60 years later, fans still marvel at its chilling tales and unforgettable performances. But what became of the talented actors who brought these iconic stories to life? In 2025, we take a closer look at their fascinating journeys, exploring their lives, careers, and the legacies they left behind. From enduring fame to forgotten chapters, discover the surprising twists in the real-life stories of the Twilight Zone cast. Rod Serling, born on December 25, 1924, in Syracuse, New York, grew up in a working-class family with dreams of becoming a writer. By the time he was 35, he had become the iconic narrator and creator of The Twilight Zone, 1959 to 1964. His career was marked by his talent for blending moral lessons with speculative fiction, but his life was riddled with personal and professional challenges. A World War II paratrooper, Serling struggled with PTSD, which haunted him throughout his life. Despite professional success, his marriage to Carol Kramer faced strain due to his relentless work ethic and chain-smoking habits, which eventually led to multiple health problems. Rod and Carol had 2 daughters, Jody and Ann, who were often caught in the emotional crossfire of his volatile temper. Plagued by financial pressures from producing the show and frequent battles with network executives over creative control, Serling suffered a fatal heart attack during heart surgery on June 28, 1975. He died at the age of 50, leaving behind a legacy that defined modern television storytelling. Vaughn Taylor, born on February 22, 1911, in Boston, Massachusetts, was a versatile character actor who portrayed Mr. Carsville in the 1959 Twilight Zone episode Time Enough at Last when he was 48. Known for his sophisticated demeanor and quiet intensity, Taylor's career was a blend of high-profile roles and uncredited parts. His childhood was marked by poverty after his father abandoned the family, forcing young Vaughn to work from a young age to support his mother and siblings. Taylor married actress Ruth Moss, but their relationship was marred by arguments over his long absences on set and his struggles with depression. The couple remained childless, and Taylor often expressed regret about not having a family to carry on his legacy. After retiring, he lived a solitary life in Los Angeles, consumed by declining health and financial difficulties. He passed away from heart failure on April 26, 1983, at the age of 72, with only a handful of loyal friends attending his funeral. Robert McCord, born on February 24, 1915, in Los Angeles, California, was an actor who built his career on background roles, often going unnoticed by viewers despite appearing in more than 60 episodes of The Twilight Zone. At 44, McCord's minor characters, such as waiters, bartenders, and passersby, added an authentic touch to the show's eerie atmosphere. Off-screen, his life was anything but glamorous. A quiet man, McCord struggled to make ends meet, taking on odd jobs between acting gigs. His marriage to his wife, Eleanor, ended in divorce after years of financial strain, and their 2 sons, Timothy and Richard, rarely saw their father. McCord battled alcoholism, a coping mechanism for his insecurities about his career. He died of liver failure on October 1, 1980, at the age of 65, with his contributions to the Twilight Zone largely unrecognized until years after his passing. Jack Klugman, born on April 27, 1922, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, grew up in a modest household during the Great Depression. He discovered acting during his time at Carnegie Mellon University, though financial struggles forced him to take odd jobs before breaking into the industry. In 1960, at the age of 38, he played Captain Ross in The Twilight Zone, a role that showcased his ability to convey quiet authority under pressure. Beyond The Twilight Zone, Klugman starred in the critically acclaimed 12 Angry Men and found enduring fame with Quincy, M.E., where he fought for socially conscious storytelling. Despite professional success, Klugman faced significant health battles, including losing his voice to throat cancer in the 1970s. Remarkably, he returned to acting after retraining his speech. His personal life was marked by his tumultuous marriage to Brett Somers, with whom he had 3 children, Adam, David, and Leslie. Although they separated, they remained legally married until Somers' death. Klugman also struggled with financial troubles and gambling addiction, reflecting the tension between his public achievements and private challenges. He passed away on December 24, 2012, at 90 from prostate cancer. Burgess Meredith, born on November 16, 1907, in Cleveland, Ohio, had a turbulent childhood characterized by neglect and family instability, which he later described as formative for his artistic sensitivities. He portrayed Henry Bemis in the 1959 episode Time Enough at Last of The Twilight Zone, a role that resonated deeply with his love of books and the isolation he often felt in his personal life. At the time, Meredith was 52 years old and already an established actor with credits in Of Mice and Men and The Diary of a Chambermaid. He would later gain fame as Mickey in the Rocky series, cementing his legacy as a versatile performer. However, his life was far from idyllic. He faced the trauma of being blacklisted during the McCarthy era, which curtailed his career for years. Married 4 times, Meredith endured 3 divorces before finding stability with Kaya Sunston, with whom he had 2 children, Jonathan and Tala. His later years were plagued by health issues, including Alzheimer's disease and melanoma, which led to his death on September 9, 1997, at the age of 89. John Anderson, born on October 20, 1922, in Clayton, Illinois, spent his early years in rural poverty, which instilled in him a deep sense of discipline and resourcefulness. Before finding his calling in acting, he served in the U.S. Coast Guard during World War II, an experience that shaped his worldview and later informed his performances. Anderson played Captain Skipper Farver in The Twilight Zone in 1960, when he was 38, showcasing his talent for portraying stoic, authoritative figures. Outside of the show, Anderson built a solid reputation as a character actor, with roles in classics like Psycho and numerous westerns. Despite his on-screen success, his personal life was marked by loneliness after his divorce from Patricia and Kaysen, a union that ended without children. Tragedy struck late in his life when a fire destroyed his home in 1991, compounding the heart problems that plagued him. Anderson died on August 7, 1992, at the age of 69 from a heart attack. Barney Phillips, born on October 20, 1913, in St. Louis, Missouri, played Captain E.L. Gunther in The Twilight Zone in 1960 at the age of 47. Phillips grew up during the Great Depression, an experience that shaped his resilience and work ethic. After a brief stint in college, he enlisted in the military during World War II, serving in the Pacific, where he witnessed intense combat that left him with lasting emotional scars. His acting career began in radio before transitioning to television, where he gained recognition for his ability to portray authority figures. Phillips married Evelyn Newman in 1942, but the pressures of his career and his lingering wartime trauma strained their relationship. They divorced in 1950, and Phillips later remarried, but his second marriage was similarly troubled, leading to his estrangement from his 2 children, David and Carol. By the 1970s, his career waned, leaving him financially unstable and battling depression. Phillips succumbed to cancer on August 17, 1982, at the age of 68. J. Pat O'Malley, born on March 15, 1904, in Burnley, England, portrayed Goo Berman, the town drunk, in The Twilight Zone in 1960 at the age of 56. Raised in a working-class family, O'Malley faced a tumultuous childhood, with his father frequently unemployed and his mother taking in laundry to support the family. He began his career in British music halls as a singer and comedian before immigrating to the United States in the 1930s, where he found steady work in radio and television. His personal life was fraught with challenges. O'Malley married Dorothy Granger in 1933, but their union was tumultuous, marked by frequent arguments over his long hours and drinking habits. They divorced in 1948, leaving their only child, Patricia, estranged from her father for years. Professionally, O'Malley struggled to find consistent roles in the late 1950s, leading to financial hardships. Despite his jovial on-screen persona, he battled depression and loneliness in his later years, particularly after suffering a stroke in the early 1980s. He passed away on February 27, 1985, at the age of 80, from complications related to a heart condition. George Mitchell, born on February 21, 1905, in Larchmont, New York, brought depth to his role as Dr. Floyd in The Twilight Zone in 1960 at the age of 55. Growing up in a well-to-do but emotionally distant family, Mitchell found solace in theater, which became both his passion and escape. His Broadway success in the 1940s led to a transition into television, where he was celebrated for his nuanced portrayals of wise, paternal figures. However, Mitchell's personal life was marked by strife. His marriage to actress Ada Beth was short-lived, ending in divorce after just 7 years. Their son, James, was caught in a contentious custody battle, and Mitchell's demanding career often left him distant from his child. By the mid-1960s, his career was in decline, and he turned to alcohol to cope with professional rejection and personal isolation. His health deteriorated rapidly due to his heavy drinking, and he died of liver failure on January 18, 1972, at the age of 66. Sirel Deavan, born on February 23, 1889, in London, England, portrayed Franklin in The Twilight Zone in 1961, a role he brought to life at the age of 72 with his signature enigmatic presence. Sirel's childhood was steeped in hardship. His father's failing business left the family in near poverty, fostering a quiet resilience in the young boy. His acting career began in the British theatre before he transitioned to Hollywood, where he became a dependable character actor. Married to Eva Kitty Bland in 1913, their union endured ups and downs, particularly after the tragic death of their youngest child, Helen, at age 8 from scarlet fever. The couple had 3 children in total, though Sirel's demanding career often left him distant from his family. His life was marked by several personal tragedies, including the loss of his closest friend in the 1930s and a near-fatal bout of pneumonia in 1948. Sirel passed away from lung cancer on December 13, 1975, at 86, remembered for his understated but memorable performances and a life tinged with sorrow. John Lorimer, born on May 7, 1906, in Canton, Ohio, brought moral depth to his portrayal of the minister in The Twilight Zone in 1960, a role he played at 54. The eldest of 5, John assumed responsibility for his family following his father's premature death. His early years were spent balancing work as a schoolteacher and local theater actor before a move to Hollywood in his 30s. Despite a steady stream of television appearances, financial stability eluded him. Married to Margaret Hayes in 1932, their relationship faced strain due to John's long periods away from home and their inability to have biological children. They fostered several children, but none remained with them long-term, creating an air of impermanence in their lives. John faced multiple hardships: the financial collapse of his retirement fund in the late 1970s, a fire that destroyed their family home in 1973, and Margaret's unexpected passing in 1975. John himself succumbed to cancer on March 19, 1986, at the age of 79, leaving behind a legacy of small but impactful roles. Bill Irwin, born on December 2, 1914, in Honey Grove, Texas, lent a relatable charm to his The Twilight Zone roles, beginning in 1959 at the age of 45. Growing up during the Great Depression, Bill learned the value of hard work early, taking odd jobs to help support his family. After graduating from the University of Texas, he pursued acting, building a career in both stage and screen. His marriage to actress Fran McLachlan was often rocky, their artistic temperaments clashing over priorities, particularly in raising their 4 children, Hannah, Michael, David, and Rachel. Bill faced profound personal losses, including Rachel's untimely death from leukemia and Fran's diagnosis with early-onset dementia. These events, coupled with his own declining eyesight in his later years, made for a life shadowed by grief despite his professional achievements. Bill passed away on December 29, 2010, at the age of 96, having left an enduring mark on the industry and those who knew him personally. Nan Peterson was born on July 7, 1931, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to a working-class family. She played the role of the blonde in the bar in The Twilight Zone in 1959, when she was 28 years old. As a child, Peterson grew up in a strict and conservative household, which fueled her later rebellious nature. Her acting career started with small roles in B-movies, but The Twilight Zone became a rare highlight in her largely unremarkable career. Tragically, Peterson faced an unhappy personal life. She married twice, both marriages ending in bitter divorces. Her first husband, a film producer, was emotionally distant, and her second marriage to a fellow actor ended in scandal when he was caught in an affair. Peterson had one daughter, Susan, who struggled with addiction and estranged herself from her mother. Financial troubles plagued Peterson in her later years, as she faced bankruptcy after a failed business venture. She also endured the tragic loss of her only sibling to a car accident. Her final years were spent in a care facility, battling dementia. Peterson passed away on August 15, 2023, at the age of 92 from complications related to pneumonia. Lou Brown, born on March 18, 1925, in New York City, played the role of a lieutenant in The Twilight Zone in 1960 at the age of 35. Brown's life was marked by a series of tragic misfortunes. Growing up in poverty, he began working odd jobs at the age of 12 to support his family after his father's death. He eventually found success as a character actor in the 1930s, but his career was interrupted by his struggles with alcoholism. His tumultuous marriage to stage actress Mary Grant ended in separation, leaving him estranged from his two sons, who grew up resenting him. In his final years, Brown faced declining health due to cirrhosis of the liver. Just weeks before his death, he was involved in a legal dispute over unpaid debts, adding stress to an already troubled life. He passed away prematurely on July 27, 2014, at the age of 89. He died of a heart attack, leaving behind a complicated legacy of talent and tragedy. Gladys Cooper, born on December 18, 1888, in London, England, was a highly regarded actress who portrayed Elva Keene in the Twilight Zone episode Night Call in 1962 at the age of 74. Cooper's career spanned over 6 decades, with a strong presence on both stage and screen. She starred in iconic films such as Now, Voyager, 1942, and The Song of Bernadette, 1943, earning widespread acclaim for her dignified performances. However, her personal life was far from the stability she portrayed on screen. She married 3 times, and her second husband, Sir Neville Pearson, was notorious for his infidelity, which took a significant emotional toll on Cooper. Although she had 3 children, Joan, John, and Saly, her demanding career often strained family relationships, leaving her distanced from them. In her later years, Cooper endured the painful effects of rheumatoid arthritis, which limited her ability to work. She passed away on November 17, 1971, from pneumonia at the age of 82, but she was remembered for her strength in both her professional and personal life, even in the face of personal hardships. John Lawner, born on November 5, 1919, in Cleveland, Ohio, played the lieutenant colonel in The Twilight Zone in 1959 when he was 40 years old. Known for his commanding on-screen presence, Lawner was a versatile actor who worked steadily in television and film, yet his personal life was fraught with hardship. As a young man, he aspired to be a lawyer, but financial constraints forced him to abandon his studies and pursue acting. His first marriage, to a fellow actress, was marred by infidelity and ended in an acrimonious divorce. Lawner remarried and had 2 children, but his second wife tragically passed away from cancer, leaving him a single father. In 1972, his teenage daughter was involved in a car accident that left her permanently disabled, a devastating blow for the family. Despite these hardships, Lawner continued acting until health issues forced his retirement in the early 1990s. He passed away on September 8, 2006, at the age of 86 due to complications from heart failure, remembered as a resilient man who endured life's challenges with stoic determination. Albert Salmi, born on March 11, 1928, in Brooklyn, New York, was a talented actor best known for his role as Feathersmith in the Twilight Zone episode A Nice Place to Visit in 1960, when he was 32. Salmi's career flourished in both television and film, with notable performances in The Unforgiven, 1960, and The Brothers Karamazov, 1958. However, his life outside of acting was marked by deep personal struggles. Salmi's first marriage to actress Peggy Ann Garner ended in a bitter divorce, and the couple fought over custody of their two daughters, Catherine and Elizabeth. Despite his success on screen, Salmi faced financial difficulties in the 1980s, leading to bouts of depression. Tragically, on April 22, 1990, Salmi took his own life and that of his second wife, Roberta, in a murder-suicide. The horrific event cast a shadow over his career, and Salmi's death is remembered as one of the most tragic in Hollywood history. He was 62 at the time of his death, leaving behind a legacy that will forever be marked by his untimely end. John Denner, born on November 23, 1915, in Staten Island, New York, portrayed Alan Richards in the Twilight Zone episode The Jungle in 1959 at the age of 44. Known for his distinguished voice and intense performances, Denner was a prolific actor who appeared in numerous westerns and dramas, including The Left-Handed Gun, 1958, and The Right Hand of the Law, 1959. While his career thrived, his personal life was far less content. Denner was deeply affected by his childhood, growing up with a distant and strict father, which left him emotionally scarred. His fear of failure and lack of personal connections led him to remain single, focusing instead on his career. He was known as a private man who struggled with loneliness, even though he was highly respected in the industry. In his later years, Denner battled emphysema and cancer, yet he continued working until his health deteriorated. He passed away on February 4, 1992, at the age of 76. John Larch, born on October 4, 1914, in Salem, Massachusetts, grew up in a strict, religious household that often suppressed his creative ambitions. After serving in World War II, he pursued acting, finding success in both film and television. In 1959, at the age of 45, he portrayed Dr. Elliot Rathman in The Twilight Zone, a character grappling with complex ethical dilemmas, mirroring the moral struggles Larch often faced in his own life. His career highlights include roles in Dirty Harry and Play Misty for Me, yet he struggled with typecasting as a stern authority figure. Larch's personal life was equally fraught. His marriage to actress Vivi Janis ended in divorce after years of reported infidelity and financial disputes. The couple had no children, and Larch reportedly expressed deep regret over his inability to sustain a family life. Later, he faced financial ruin after investing in a failed theater project, leaving him reliant on small television roles in his later years. He died on October 16, 2005, at 91, from natural causes, remembered as a talented actor whose life was shadowed by personal and professional setbacks. James Best, born on July 26, 1926, in Powderly, Kentucky, was orphaned at a young age and adopted by an impoverished family, a challenging start that instilled in him resilience. He brought his southern charm and depth to the role of Billy Ben Turner in The Twilight Zone in 1961, at the age of 35. Best gained fame for his comedic role as Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane in The Dukes of Hazzard, though he often lamented that it overshadowed his more dramatic work. His marriages were tumultuous. His first ended in divorce amid allegations of infidelity, but his second marriage to Dorothy Collier brought some stability and two daughters, Janine and Jo Jamie. Best battled alcoholism for much of his life, a struggle he later credited with nearly destroying his career and personal relationships. A near-fatal car accident in the 1980s marked a turning point, leading him to embrace teaching and painting as therapeutic outlets. He passed away on April 6, 2015, at 88, from complications of pneumonia, leaving behind a legacy of perseverance and artistry. Paul Comey, born on February 11, 1932, played First Officer John Craig in The Twilight Zone in 1960, starting at the age of 28. Raised in a working-class neighborhood in Boston, Comey's early life was shaped by the hardships of the Great Depression. His love for acting emerged in high school, but he initially pursued a career in law before following his true passion for performance. After moving to New York, Comey found early success in theater, which led to his breakthrough role in television. However, his personal life was fraught with challenges. He married his college sweetheart, Margot, in 1957, and the couple had 2 children. Unfortunately, their marriage was plagued by infidelity and long absences due to Comey's demanding career. They eventually divorced in 1973. While Comey's career flourished in the 1960s, including his memorable role on The Twilight Zone, his later years were marked by professional struggles, overshadowed by health issues and the emotional toll of his failed marriage. Paul Comey passed away on August 26, 2016, at the age of 84 due to complications related to Alzheimer's disease. Gail Kobe, born on March 19, 1932, in Hamtramck, Michigan, grew up in a working-class family, dreaming of escaping her small-town life. In 1960, at the age of 28, she played Jessica Connelly in The Twilight Zone, a role that highlighted her ability to portray strong-willed, intelligent women. Though she achieved moderate success in acting, with appearances in shows like Perry Mason and Maverick, her career never reached the heights she aspired to. Frustrated with typecasting, Kobe transitioned to producing, earning acclaim for her work on The Bold and the Beautiful. Her personal life was marked by sorrow. Her brief marriage to producer Edward Mosk ended in divorce, and she never remarried or had children, citing her career ambitions and a series of miscarriages as reasons. Kobe also endured the loss of her closest sibling to cancer, a tragedy that profoundly affected her. She spent her later years in quiet retirement, occasionally guest lecturing at universities. Kobe died on August 1, 2013, at 81, from natural causes, remembered as a trailblazer who broke barriers in a male-dominated industry. Michael Fox, born on February 27, 1921, portrayed the second Martian in The Twilight Zone in 1960 at the age of 39. Fox, born in South Carolina, was the son of a military officer, and his childhood was marked by frequent relocations. As a teenager, he moved to Los Angeles, where he quickly found work in radio and television. His early acting career was successful, but the rise of television led to typecasting, and Fox found himself frequently portraying alien or mysterious characters, such as the enigmatic second Martian. Despite his public persona, Fox's personal life was a series of tragic events. He married actress Susan Hayden in 1945, and they had 2 children, a son named James and a daughter, Emily. However, their marriage deteriorated in the early 1960s, and they divorced in 1965 after years of separation. Fox's career struggled as well, with many of his roles being overshadowed by younger actors, and his financial troubles led him to a string of failed business ventures. Michael Fox passed away on June 1, 1996, at the age of 75 due to complications from lung cancer. Bill Mumi, born on February 1, 1954, portrayed Anthony Fremont in The Twilight Zone in 1961, at the age of 7, a role that would become one of the most iconic in television history. Growing up in a showbiz family in Los Angeles, Mumi was introduced to acting at a young age. He quickly became a child star, landing roles in a variety of television shows and films, with his role as the terrifying boy with psychic powers in The Twilight Zone cementing his place in pop culture. However, the pressures of fame took a toll on his personal life. His first marriage to actress and singer Susan Fox ended in divorce after 15 years, partially due to Mumi's growing sense of isolation and the difficulties of maintaining a family life while working on multiple projects. His second marriage to actress Eileen Dietz in 1992 also ended in separation. Despite these challenges, Mumi has remained active in the entertainment industry, transitioning to voice work in music. As of 2025, Bill Mumi is 70 and continues to work in film and television and is a proud father of 2 children, who he has raised with a more balanced and private life. Oscar Bergie Jr., born on May 12, 1918, portrayed Farwell in The Twilight Zone in 1961, bringing a sense of moral ambiguity and complex depth to the character at the age of 43. Born in Hungary, Oscar's early years were filled with hardship as his family fled during the tumult of World War I. Moving to the United States as a young child, Oscar quickly adapted to the challenges of immigrant life. He pursued acting, eventually making a name for himself in both film and television. However, his personal life was marred by difficulties. Oscar married 3 times, but none of his marriages were without turmoil. His first wife, Clara, left him after their second child, Peter, tragically died at the age of 5, a loss that haunted Oscar deeply. His second marriage ended in divorce after several years of emotional struggles, and his third wife, a former actress, endured her own battles with alcoholism. Oscar faced financial troubles, particularly after the collapse of a major investment in a Broadway play. His life ended unexpectedly when he passed away from a heart attack on November 1, 1976, at the age of 58. Vladimir Sokolov, born on December 26, 1889, brought wisdom and compassion to his portrayal of Father Tomas in The Twilight Zone in 1961, a character he played at the age of 72. Born in Russia, Vladimir's early years were marked by hardship, as he lost both his parents in childhood. Raised by relatives, he turned to the theater as an escape from his troubled home life. His career spanned both Europe and the United States, though his personal life was shadowed by sorrow. Vladimir married late in life to a woman named Maria, but their happiness was short-lived. After the birth of their only son, Anatole, in 1928, Maria suffered from severe postpartum depression, which ultimately led to her passing in 1931, leaving Vladimir to raise Anatole alone. He also faced a financial collapse during the Great Depression, which led to years of struggle before he regained his footing in Hollywood. However, Vladimir never fully recovered from the emotional scars left by his losses, and despite a steady career, he struggled with feelings of isolation. He passed away on February 15, 1962, at the age of 72 due to a stroke. Ben Wright, born on May 5, 1915, played Captain Wilbur in The Twilight Zone in 1959 at the age of 44, bringing authority and a calming presence to his character. Born in England, Ben had a childhood that was anything but stable. His father abandoned the family when Ben was just a boy, leaving his mother to raise him alone during the difficult times of the Great Depression. His acting career took off after moving to the United States, but despite his success, he struggled to find peace in his personal life. Ben's first marriage to actress Dorothy Collins ended in divorce after a decade, marred by his long hours spent away from home and Dorothy's jealousy of his rising fame. His second wife, Helen, whom he married in 1953, was a constant source of comfort, but their life together was overshadowed by the birth of their daughter, who was diagnosed with a severe illness and passed away in her early teens. Ben was devastated by this loss and carried the grief with him for the rest of his life. After a long battle with health complications, including chronic heart issues, Ben passed away on July 2, 1989, at the age of 74, following complications from surgery. Raymond Bailey was born on May 6, 1904, in San Francisco, California. In The Twilight Zone, starting in 1959, he portrayed a doctor, a role that brought gravitas and expertise to the show. At the time, Bailey was 55 years old, but his career was far from simple. Bailey's journey to fame was a difficult one, having faced early rejections and struggles in Hollywood. As a young man, he worked as a stagehand before landing minor roles in films, and his breakthrough came with a consistent stream of character roles in television. He married once, to a fellow actress, but the union was short-lived due to his wife's affair with a co-star. This heartbreak deeply affected Bailey, who threw himself into his career in an attempt to distract from his personal pain. He had one child, a daughter, but their relationship was strained due to his long hours on set and frequent absences. Bailey also suffered from a string of financial problems in his later years, struggling to maintain his lifestyle despite his success. On April 15, 1980, after a life filled with both achievements and sorrow, Bailey died of a heart attack at the age of 75. Stafford Rep, born on April 26, 1918, in Cleveland, Ohio, was 42 years old when he portrayed Ira broadly in The Twilight Zone starting in 1960. Rep's portrayal of Ira, a character often caught in absurd and unfortunate situations, was both comedic and tragic, reflecting the duality of human nature. However, as a child, he was raised in a tumultuous household, with an alcoholic father and a mother who struggled with mental health issues. Rep turned to acting as an escape, but his career path was often marked by frustration. Despite his talent, he was frequently typecast in supporting roles, and his big break never truly came. He was married twice. His first marriage ended in divorce due to his wife's infidelity, and his second marriage was short-lived, suffering from the stresses of Rep's declining mental health. He had 2 children, but his relationship with them was distant, as he was often away due to his acting commitments. Rep also battled depression and struggled with alcohol for much of his life, which led to numerous setbacks both professionally and personally. Stafford Rep passed away on November 5, 1974, at the age of 56, from a heart attack. Who is your favorite character from The Twilight Zone? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.